It's a pleasant day to all of you. This video lecture is all about forces. Now we have the system of forces. We have different types of forces. We have the concurrent forces and non-concurrent forces. Anyway, I'm gonna discuss the meaning of these two. But before we proceed, let us first define what is a force. What is a force? Now when we say force, according to most of textbooks, they define force as an action of one body to another body. So let's say we have a huge wall, a wall that is fixed. We know that wall can't be moved. And also there is a man here. The man is pushing the wall. When we say the man is pushing the wall, we can say that the man is exerting a force on the wall. So if the man is exerting force on the wall, of course we cannot see the force that is being exerted on the wall. We cannot see it for sure. Why? Because one of the definition of force is that force is an abstract concept. So if we have this kind of thing, this is it. Force is an abstract concept. When we say abstract are things that can't be seen. We cannot see them or we cannot sense them using our five senses, but we can feel them. We can feel them using our intuition. Now, scientists are creative in trying to describe this abstract thing into something that we could see. So there is a convention, and it is unanimously agreed upon by most of scientists, that the force will be represented like this. And basically, this is just an arrow. An arrow is a representation of an abstract force. So they have characterized force into three components. I think 3 or 4. First one, the point of application, this one. It is where the tip of this arrow is pointing to or touching to. Another thing also is the magnitude of the force. The magnitude of the force is the body, from this one up until this one, or the line itself. And magnitude is the number. It is the number representing the amount of quantity of force being exerted. For example, if we let's say if I say that if I punch a person and the person felt the punch, he said it hurts. But if Mike Tyson punches the man, if he's lucky enough, then he would say Mike Tyson punches me and it hurts a lot. So we can only use to describe things using certain description. When I punched the man, he said it hurts. But when Mike Tyson punches him, he said it really hurts. That is the only description. So in science, we tend to describe things into something that has a number associated in it. So we say that in mathematical expression, I punched the man and he said he hurts. Instead of saying he hurts, let's say my punch is only 50%. I punch him by 50% force. And if we describe the amount of force that Mike Tyson exerted on the man when he punches the man, he said that it is 99%. So instead of saying it hurts and it truly hurts, we have changed it into 50% and 99%. So that quantification or describing it in number, that is what we so-called magnitude. So magnitude is just a number representation of something that we could describe. So it is a number. When we say the amount of force that this person is exerting on the wall is 50%, then the magnitude is a 50%. So it is just a number. If the man is so strong enough and he's exerting 100% or let's say 95% of force, then we could say that the magnitude of the force is 95%. So this is the definition of magnitude. Another important consideration is the sense or the direction which is associated with this one, associated with the line of action of the force. Let us describe this one, and this is it. When we say line of action, it is the line that the force is passing through. So you can see that I am drawing a dashed line that is where the force is parallel or passing through. This line of action, this is called line of action, this is the third characterization of force. When we say line of action, it is where the force can freely move. Imagine that this red force is moving freely on this line. It can move on this line. So this is it. Number one is the point of application. Number two is the magnitude. Number three is the direction, and direction is where the arrow is pointing to, and it is pointing towards right, but it can freely move along its line of action. If you can understand this thing, then you are almost halfway towards understanding forces. Now, before we proceed, let us go to this. What is concurrent forces? Concurrent forces are basically like this one. If you have this force acting on this one, let's say that the magnitude of this force is equals to 90 Newton, because force is in terms of Newton in English International System. That is what we are going to use here, 90 Newton. Or if you wanted to understand what is Newton, then probably I'm not going to discuss it here, because this is only for those who already know or have some kind of prior understanding of what is force. Now, magnitude is a representation in terms of number of the amount of force being exerted upon. And when we say concurrent force, it is pointing towards the same point of application. You have this one. And let's say, since this is longer compared to this one, we might say this is 110 Newton. And also we would add another force that is acting on this point. So let's say the magnitude of this force is smaller compared to these two, let's say 50 Newton. Now, what can you see from this diagram? What is the common thing among the three forces? We have 90, 110, 50 forces. What is the common thing between them? The common thing is that they are all acting on the same point. They are passing through on the same point. And because of this, if you can see this in any forces, this force system, when we say force system, we are talking about 2 or 3 or more forces. The forces are passing through the same point. Okay, they have a common point. Now, the opposite of concurrent forces is like this. If we say we have these kind of forces, let's say there is a force here. Okay, and also another force that is acting here, and a third force is acting towards here. Okay, so let's say this is force 110 Newton, let's say this is 120 Newton, and let's say this is 95 Newton. We have system of forces composed of 3 forces. But if we look the line of action of these forces, let's say for this one, the line of action of this one, if we try to draw the line of action of this force, we can say that it is like this one. This is the line of action of the first force. If we draw the line of action of the second force, which is the force, this 110, its line of action is like this one. control the line of action. It is the extension of the magnitude of the force, or the line of force. And also we could also draw line of action of the third force, the 90 Newton force. So you could see this is the line of action of the third force. As you can see, the line of action of the three forces does not intersect on the same point. The intersection of this 95 and this 120, the intersection of their line of action is this, but it has no common intersection with the line of action of this 110. So in other words, concurrent forces, if we extend the line of action of the forces, there is at least one common point, or one point of intersection among all the forces. That is what we so call concurrent force. When we say non-concurrent forces, there is no common point of intersection between the forces or between the line of action of the forces. So I think this is it for the introduction of forces. Let us proceed to the actual forces.